What's up guys, Sekapoko here, bringing you another One Piece Treasure Goods video. For this, we're doing my tier list update for the June, including the new Katakuri Legend, as well as the new Tesoro Legend, so you guys can know exactly where I feel on that. We also added in a little bit of different thing with this tier list, so you can actually see a couple tiers where I think people fall versus other legends of different colors, so it'll help you out in that sense. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and start up the tier list that we're going to have for June of 2018. And we're going to talk about some of the units. We're going to talk about what the new tier list structure is going to be and how I'm going to rate everything. So the rating, in the changes for this tier list, we have a new rating scale. And the rating scale is all ratings are based on special ability, captain ability. They take sailors, like so if you're using it as a sub, their captain usefulness, their speed, their safety, their stats, a lot of different factors put into play. And then their usefulness and content is also taken into account as well. So what I've done is making a list. I've only made 5 tiers so that you can actually see what units are going to be in the top tier versus the bottom tier. So the ratings are up to date with the current content and past content for clear potentials for both sailor and captain. So all of those are taken into account when talking about a unit's usefulness. Now, whenever I did the tier list in the past, I kind of avoided the tiering of the units and I kind of just rated them. But to be honest, you can tier them and you can rate them. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't really matter where they are. As long as they're in the same tier or category, they're going to be similar to other units. There's only 5 tiers on purpose because I wanted to avoid a lot of unit smearing. So there was going to be like, hey, this unit's better than this unit, but it's in this tier. So they're also numbered. So this is where I think they would rank versus other units, but then I just also put them in the tier. So that makes it really easy. So the first thing we're going to go over is the strength, the tiers in general, sorry. The tiers in general, for God tier units, we have amazing units, future-proof for many, many months to come. These units are going to be great. There's going to be very few bits of content where content is going to just like stop them within the next 6 months. And there's going to be very, very few and far between to find that content. And that is what the God tier is. A super tier is like, these are great units, however, they are definitely starting to be power crept, or there's other content that's harder for them, and they're not the ideal unit for a lot of content when using these units to farm. Useful units are going to be characters that are really useful to have in certain situations, that are really good legends, but they are not like used all the time, but they are definitely still in use. And a lot of these units are great subs, but not great captains now. So they were great captains before, but now they're better subs than they are captains. And that's not the truth for everybody, but it is definitely true for some. And they're definitely not future-proof. These are legends that are going to get power crept. They are going to get hurt if they don't get a 6++ or a 7-star or whatever they're going to do with them. These are units that are going to get hit by that. Niche units are extremely useful in certain content, but very not useful in most content. There are lots of units that are like this that are really, really good for certain things, but not good for most things. And that's what niche units are for. And the last units are trash units. Basically legends that have been just shit on, not good anymore, and no one cares about. They either need a rework or a 6+, or they already have a 6+, and they just can't be improved, or they're already power crept by rare recruits. And that does not say that these characters can't get out of the trash tier, but for right now, they are definitely not in that tier. So for the strength units, of course, we have the number 1 being Lucy still, the number 2 being Ace Luffy, or Luffy Ace, whatever you want to call it. And finally, we have Katakuri, which is going to be coming in with the new legend. And all 3 of these units are going to be in the God tier. These units are probably going to be safe to use for the next 6 months. There aren't going to be too many sets of content that are going to be blowing these guys away and just destroying them. Katakuri is a very useful unit to have. His captain ability is really unique, and the damage reduction on that is really good. The conditional that he has as a sub is very good, so I think that's going to stay around for a while. Luffy Ace still really strong. Free Spirit getting even stronger with newer batches that are coming out, especially with the newest character Bobbin, I think is Free Spirit as well. So there are tons and tons of utility units now for Free Spirit, and this is just making every batch even better. So I really like that's happening here. Croc is going to be the only unit in the super tier for strength. He's definitely a great unit, but you know what? He is going to start to get power crept here. There are going to be sets of content where he's going to be really struggling in. And of course, you usually use this character as a sub. You don't use this character as a captain all the time, but definitely really great as a sub. For the useful tier, we have Akainu and Lucci. Definitely great units. They are usable in a lot of content, but they are still not the best units to use. And Lucci being a 3.5 multiplier and Akainu being a 4 times multiplier are great. They're great for damage. However, there are really difficult to build teams for in many sets of content. So definitely a tricky set of units to use nowadays. Then for the niche units, we have Inarashi. Really good for if you need that weird tap timing bonus, or sometimes you need a captain with a chain boost. That might actually be really useful. Or you need a last hit on a perfect, that would just actually be monstrous with his sailor ability that he gets. Whitebeard, really good for HP cuts and orb manipulate if you really need to shuffle block orbs and matching or something like that. Definitely a good unit, just starting to get power crept a lot more. Then we have Barto, which is the original Barto. Not super useful. His 6+ is obviously much better. His 6-star version is pretty shit. And Log Luffy. Log Luffy is like not used ever, but we did do him versus Zoro, right? We did it! We did it, boys! It was tough. The best colors in order, I really didn't make any changes here. There could be changes. I just decided not to do any changes because it's too soon. This is right after we saw all the things on the anniversary, and it's only been about 2 weeks, so I really just don't want to put too many changes here. That's fine as is. For quick, we have G4 Luffy in the God tier, of course, because he's amazing. We have Luffy Ace, really, really great unit. Awesome unit to have in your arsenal. I love them, and of course he's in the God tier for the quick units. For Tesoro and Frankie, we're going to put them in the super tier. They're obviously very good units. Tesoro being on a 9-turn cooldown, I almost put him in the God tier, but to be honest, I definitely think this unit is going to fall off within the next 6 months. So I don't know when, I don't know how, but he is going to get power crept, or he's going to be kind of a unit that you need as a sub more than you are as a captain, and I don't think this unit is future proof, so I think he's going to get power crept pretty hard. Frankie obviously has been power crept by G4. It's kind of like the better version of Frankie, so what can you do there? Frankie's still a very unique character, only character that has an auto attack that does AoE, so shooters in the future or strikers in the future on Frankie teams might be a big thing that you might do. Who knows? We don't know about future content coming out, but we do know that as of right now, Frankie is useful and good and a good pairing with G4, but obviously not nearly as good. For the useful tier, of course, we're going to have V2 Lucci, V2 6+ Law, and Kuzan, as well as V2 Law, all of which are going to be very good characters to have, but of course they are not going to be the top tier units, and they're not going to even be in the mid-top tier. The reason these characters aren't as good is because V2 Lucci essentially just does defense down and orb manipulate. That's kind of like a standard in just normal units. His captain multiplier is good, but to be honest, there are other better units, so I don't think he's going to be great there. V2 Law 6+ is really cool with his barrier his barrier removal, 200,000 fixed damage, wave clear, which is nice. Kuzan 6+, kind of the same thing, but it goes through barriers, so very, very good units to have. Overall, these two units are great, but they're definitely starting to see less and less use as far as content keeps going. We are still using them, however, they are not going to be the units that we always want to bring to games. We always have in our box that are going to be easily clearing content. And V2 Striker Law, obviously, nowhere near as good as any of these other units, because his captain ability is just subpar, because he's only a 3x captain with no HP bonus and just the heal that goes along with it. It's really, really not good in content right now. For certain situations right now, for the niche tier, we have TS Luffy. Obviously, still a decent unit, but to be honest, all he does is orb manipulate, not even good orb manipulate at this point. So some of the rare recruits that are coming out now are just like way better than TS Luffy, which is really bad. 6+ Bartomeu, probably in the same bracket. Enel as well, niche and good in certain situations, but not in every situation. Doflamingo, same thing, as well as Marco, same thing. All of these are niche units that are really good in certain situations, but not good in every situation. I would just go as far as say that TS Luffy could be a little bit lower on this tier list, but you know what? His damage for his captain is really, really high, so we'll keep him where he is. For trash here, of course, we have Boa and Cavendish. Cavendish, I have used like once or twice just because I really needed a specific team for a specific situation at a specific time. 99% of the time, I'm never going to use Cavendish. Cavendish is just a bad unit nowadays. Don't even bother using him. His 2.5 multiplier for his team is really bad. The 4x captain is is average now for a lot of different captains, for very top tier captains. So I don't even think they're going to use him. Boa, really good as a sub. Certain situations she's amazing, but there are a lot of more situations where she's not useful. And of course, she is massively power crept by V2 Aokiji. For the best classes in order, I'm going to keep them the same, of course, because we saw Free Spirit. Free Spirit just got the new Bobbin unit, which is really, really good for their utility. They're going to keep Mikon. Driven, she's got 2 units that are filling the gap that they actually needed in order to get perfect teams. So, of course, now we have a 3.25 chain locker for Driven teams. We also have a color affinity booster, which is a 2x color affinity booster with Zoro. So, I mean, 2 of the things that Driven were missing, they now have, and now they have other things that you can bring to our other content. They have damage cap removal on other characters. They have different units you can work outside their batch. They're becoming more free-to-play friendly. Definitely great units, and definitely a great team to have. Cerebral, I'm going to keep them where they are because the new category is a Cerebral unit, and there might be Cerebral teams you use in the future. V2 Rayleigh, we have what's his name? Croc is still very strong. 6+2, 6+ Law is still pretty strong. Robin is still very good. There's still a lot of good Cerebral characters, and Cerebral overall does have a nice set of units that you can use. So definitely not going to move them out of that category anytime soon. They're still very, very strong. Powerhouse of still, of course, number 4. I'm going to keep them there. They have very, very good utility, very good damage, very good overall class. They're not really missing out on too much, but as far as versatility, they are starting to lack, and started to lack as far as damage characters that also have utility. There are a lot of damage characters that have utility, but not nearly as many as the Driven, Free Spirit, and Cerebral classes. Slashers, actually, Slashers just got a really big boost here. I really would consider putting Slashers above Powerhouse, but the only thing that would make me do that is getting a better captain. V2 Fujitora is a good unit, but of course he's just like V2 Lucci. All he does really is orb manipulate and delay versus an orb manipulate and defense down. So I would say he would be better, but to be honest, with his damage increase, the fact that they could be perfect, there are a lot of things that Slasher are missing that are not filled by the captain that they have now. So once they get a better captain, I would say yes, they can move up in the tier list, but for right now, they're going to stay solid at number 5, but starting to creep up on Powerhouse. For fighters, fighters actually are starting to get very strong as well. With the new batch that's just been released, the last 3 batches have really been good for fighter, and I definitely am considering doing that. If you're considering the new oven, he is going to be a 2x fighter type booster if you use him correctly. So definitely an interesting character to have because of the character's boost. And there are a lot of other units that we can use in order to get other boosts for conditional. Color affinity, I think, is the only thing they're really lacking. They have Hina, I think, and a couple other units that you can use for color affinity, but not like the best for color affinity. So there are situations where you can use like a Kainu or Kai or Neo Kainu for that. But to be honest, fighters are good, but there's no fighter only captain, and I would say that fighters will be better. But I'm going to keep them where they are right now because they're really going to need some more synergy. And when they get synergy, I think we'll move them up in the class. Strikers, of course, they've fallen off almost entirely. I don't really see anybody use Nekomushi ever. Lucy is still being used, of course, so still a decent card to use. Shooters, shooters actually just got a big boost in this patch. Of course, they're still missing that 2x orb booster, but they do have a lot of utility, a lot of other units that you can use. And they do have a lot of units now. So they just got tap timing bonus with the new Tanaka-san, so that's interesting. So shooters might be having a resurgence here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm not really sure, but we still of course need a shooter captain. We still need a better striker captain. Nekomushi's still a decent unit, but of course he is just an orb manipulator versus all the other characters that are orb manipulators plus damage boosters. They're coming out, or utility boosters as well. So definitely nowhere near as good as the other ones. Shooters, once they get out some other stuff, we'll see where they go. For the Dex units, we're going to see Doflamingo is going to be in the God tier, the only Dex unit in the God tier in my opinion. Nami would be there. However, one of the things I think knocks Nami out of the God tier, and this is purely just my opinion here, her stats are actually very low. I was very surprised. Her stats are very, very low. For a legendary unit. I think which max limit break, she's under 1800 attack. So definitely very interesting to see Nami not even close. But her special ability is godly. And I love that. And we saw in the last treasure mode when you used an all Dex team versus quick content versus Pedro, it was not even a question how badly you would massacre that content. So she is definitely a very, very strong unit. However, I did not want to put her in the God tier because I think that she will be power crept sometime in the next 6 months. I don't know when, but I think she is still an amazing unit, definitely in the super tier. Definitely a great unit to have. V2 Rayleigh, a lot of people really, really like V2 Rayleigh, and I love him too. He's great. He has problems though, and a lot of people think, no, he doesn't have problems. You just bring Pedro or blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, he has problems. He's thresholded. Any character that is going to be thresholded by HP, Croc, Rayleigh, anybody like that is going to have issues. One of the biggest issues that they're going to have is fixed damage caused by a raid boss that at the end of the turn, or it's going to be poison. Those two mechanics themselves will completely obliterate low HP thresholded captains. So what my recommendation here is for Rayleigh teams, he's a very, very strong unit, a very good unit, but I do not think he's going to be in the God tier for that reason. Like, there are holes in his captain ability. He does have weaknesses. You have to be low HP to have his boost. At higher HP, you can run into trouble on like stage 4 of a Coliseum or stage 3 of a Coliseum if you really need to. So there are issues with Rayleigh. He is still a very good unit, but he does have holes and does take a little bit more thought to use. Blackbeard, very useful unit. He can definitely be in the useful tier. Magellan, very useful. 6+ Zoro, very useful. They're great in certain content. They're good overall. Zoro, I was actually considering putting down to the niche tier. And the reason I was thinking about putting Zoro down in the niche tier is because essentially he's just a type booster, and then if you put him as a sub, type booster chain locker. But the wave clear you get on Zoro is like so useful for a lot of content. So I can't for the life of me put him down just because of the wave clear. And the wave clear, if you don't believe, wave clear is super, super helpful for so much content, so I can't put him down. 6+ Ace in the niche tier. Obviously no one uses this character, but he's still a 3.25 captain. No one uses shooters, and it's not his fault that you can't use shooters. It's the fact that shooters suck, and the fact that you get a 2x type boost plus wave clear is kind of good. His captain ability is pretty good, but I can't really say that he's good. We have Usopp of 6+, as well as 6-star Usopp. Both use kind of niche use in certain situations. We saw a situation recently where Usopp was really, really useful, and we saw other situations where Usopp was really useful. But it's harder to use Usopp, to be fair. The original Croc, I'm going to say, is a trash unit because he's completely power crept. There are too many units that are way better than him. There are rare units that are better than him, so he's power crept. But the 6+ Croc, however, is much, much better. The difference in the power gap between those two characters is massive. And the fact that Croc can be a 2x booster at whatever HP you want is a big difference versus being a 1.5x booster at full HP, because not all cerebral teams are going to be at low HP. So Croc, my opinion, for Dex Croc is going to be a trash unit, but that's the gap between 6+ Croc and Croc. Seeing how his HP is thresholded, as his damage is thresholded at a 1x multiplier at starting, going all the way down to a 3.25 versus starting at a 2x multiplier and then going to a 3.5x multiplier is a big, big difference. So definitely a bigger difference for Croc versus 6+ Croc. Corazon, still a trash unit. Even with his limit break, I'm going to say he's trash because even if you can get a Bind to Despair ruler right away, that's really, really useful in Fortnite, maybe when you get Bind to Despair right away, or in certain content. But I really don't see when you're going to use Corazon. Like, there's so few instances that he is just a trash unit, and he's power crept by so many other units. So I'm going to say Corazon is trash. For the side category, we're going to see V2 Aokiji coming in at the number 1 spot, of course, because he's still very strong with that 4.25x multiplier, 3.25 otherwise, if you don't hit without hitting the Sai quick. Very, very good unit overall. I think this unit is one of the best units in the game still. He's still a very, very strong unit, but the problem with this unit is because he is reliant on the color, you are limited to a certain pool of units, but the pool of units you have is the biggest pool of legends in the game for the quick units, and then of course the Sai units. The problem with the Sai units is that I actually was looking through this. Sai legends, as I start looking at this tier list, are way worse than quick legends. It's very, very surprising. I was very surprised. We have Judge in the God tier as well. Still very, very strong unit. I don't think Judge is going to go anywhere anytime soon. The main reason that is Judge is a rainbow captain. You can get Cyrus beneficial from a lot of different characters. There are tons of units you can use with Judge. Judge can be paired with G4. Judge can be paired with Frankie. Judge can be paired with well, you can't, yeah, he's not Frankie. Judge can be paired with a lot of different units. And Judge can be used as a sub for a 2x Orb Booster and Bind Remover, which is really great, which is damage and utility, which is what you want. So overall, I cannot move Judge out of this God tier yet, but 6 months from now, he may fall off. We'll have to see. Judge is still, in my opinion, a top tier unit, very, very strong unit overall, and I still can use him for pretty much every set of content. So there are certain situations where Judge kind of gets like whammed on because you have to bring a certain color of a certain character for a certain typing for a certain situation, and that's a little tricky. And that happens for every class now and again, no matter what you do. And Judge, since he is a rainbow captain, a true rainbow captain, so you have to bring everything in your team. He's a little bit trickier to use and build for, but when you do build for him, he's great. And the fact that you can do Judge Black your teams, the fact that you can do a lot of other pairings, makes him a very versatile unit and definitely a God tier unit. Robin is going to be in the super category, which is a very good unit. Very useful to have her special. Very useful to have Meat Orbs being matching as sub. Lots of really good Sailor effects that she has if you want to use her as a sub. Really good as a captain for damage reduction. Her damage is a little subpar nowadays, but you know what? There are lots and lots of content where you can run Robin and just meme on it because the damage reduction is so massive. And that's one of the reasons Katakuri is going to come in the clutch here so well and definitely be a God tier unit because of this Robin showing us seeing from what this Robin can do as far as damage reduction, just how easy it is to clear content. And the only thing that Robin has that Katakuri doesn't have is the extra recovery, so you can heal up to full very easily. However, with Katakuri, you may not need to. For the useful tier, we're going to have Nekomamushi, which is useful in certain situations. Still a unique unit. Shirahoshi as well. 6+ Law as well. I would move 6+ Law a little bit higher because he is more useful than Nekomamushi nowadays. But to be fair, Nekomamushi's damage is higher, and Law Special is very good, but it's really good in weird situations. Like, you don't need it all the time. There's not like a billion times where you need Law Special. His captain ability is pretty good though, right? But like, everything else is like, well. And Shirahoshi's still a very, very good side unit. For the niche units, of course, we have G4, 6+ Borsalino, we have Boa Hancock, 6+ Sabo, Shanks, and Sengoku. Sorry, not Shank, and Shanks. And I'd say that Kizaru really needs a really good limit break in order to get out of this niche tier and move into the useful tier, because his character is so bad right now. I really wish he could be better, but I was hoping for a limit break on him this month, but we have to wait a little longer. Boa Hancock, still a shit unit. No one uses Boa. Anybody who says they use Boa is just beaming right now. I have not seen anybody use a Boa team in like at least 4 months. For like they've done it, I was like, yeah, I beat it with Boa versus I farm with Boa like all the time. No one does that. 6+ Sabo, who cares? He's definitely niche. He's very useful a lot more. He might actually move up into the useful tier. I might actually just move him up altogether because of how useful he is for special. I think everybody uses Sabo when they need a Breathe Fairy type booster. And the fact that Sailor's there and he has large stats, he might go up. I don't know. I never really thought about it. He's so useful. Like, why wouldn't you? Then we have Shanks, of course, not really used anymore, and Sengoku in the trash tier. And for the int section of the list, we're going to have, for the God tier, we're going to have V2 Shanks, who's a very phenomenal unit, one of the best units in the entire game, and we have V2 Akainu, really, really good. I really don't have these units. I'm so sad I don't, because I need better int units, but I'm missing 3 legends at this point, and I don't have these 2. It feels bad. Feels real bad, man. But V2 Shanks and a V2 Akainu, God tier into Legends. Very, very good units overall. I really think that they are probably some of the best units of the game because of how useful they are. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. V2 Akainu's end of turn damage thing is so versatile, and you can use it in so many weird situations that he's just amazing. V2 Shanks overall just one of the best units in the game. I mean, the full board or manipulate to whatever color you want, and the fact that you can use damage, you get a damage and chain boost. It's just, he's so good. He's so freaking good. Then we have V2 Fujitora and Hody in the super tier. You could say Hody at this point is more useful than Fujitora. I just don't think he's better than Fujitora. To be honest, they're both very good units, and you could argue one way or the other, but they're both going to be in the super tier here. For the useful tier, we got Mihawk, 6+ Jinbei, as well as OG Fujitora. And the reason OG Fujitora made it to the useful tier is because you can still pair him with V2 Dofi, and Driven still being a very, very good class. You can use him there. But of course, you could use the Bartolomeo instead, and Bartolomeo did make it to the niche tier. The only difference is that Fujitora does make tandem and meat matching, which is very useful for Driven, because Driven will then not have to bring the treble or the sugar in those teams and be able to use other characters in order to get full board of orbs. So definitely an interesting character to bring in order to get a little bit better stats, as well as a little bit better orb manipulation on your characters. Then we have 6+ Jinbei. He's good. He doesn't really have any flaws besides his damage is really low. That's it. He has really high HP pool. I mean, he does 100,000 damage now, which is really good. He removes, what is it, inch threshold, I think? He has utility now, which is really interesting. So it's orb manipulate utility, which is really good special. Very useful as a sub, and I definitely think that on fighter teams in the future, he's going to be very good. What's going to be interesting is if the next fighter legend is not a perfect orb manipulator, but it does like some other things, and then Jinbei becomes a perfect sub for that. That would be amazing. Maybe if you do fighter teams for a G4 team, and you want to use perfect orbs on the Jinbei, there you go, as well as removing some kind of thresholds or damage reduction that you can get, or percent. I don't remember what he does, but he does utility. Then 6+ Mihawk, still a useful unit. It's always been good. We love him. He's great, but you know what? No one really uses him all the time. Then for the niche tier, we're going to have Sanji, Rayleigh, and Buggy. Sanji is still useful, to be fair. He's not very good. He's still used. He's like, in certain situations, he's like, oh my god, he's perfect. And then Rayleigh, certain situations, he's really good. But then other situations, like, well. Then you got Buggy. It's Buggy. You have to put Buggy above Sengoku. That's the only reason he's in the niche tier. Because fuck Sengoku! And then for the reroll tier, this is going to be exactly the same as last month. V4 Luffy, Luffy Ace, V2 Shanks, V2 Aokiji, as well as Lucy. These are the best characters I think that you should reroll for, because early game these characters are going to be amazing for you to have. I was thinking about putting Gil Tesoro in here instead of like V2 Rayleigh or V2 Dofi, but you know what? These characters on the side here are all characters that I think that you should reroll with some of these characters, and they're hard to pair. They're like, there's no like specific. These aren't lined up to be perfect with these guys. Like the Rayleigh and the Shanks are good together. The V2 Dofi and the Lucy are good together. Like, there's lots of pairings that you can have with these. So if you do end up pulling one of these are not like ordered lined up. These are just like, hey, if you pull the V4 Luffy and you pull like Rayleigh along with it, or Shiroshi along with it, or V2 Dofi along with it, that's great. It's a good count. So obviously the best pairing would be G4 V2 G4 Luffy and Nami. That would be the best pairing to pull. I think that's one of the best ones to pull in the entire game, because that gives you a type boost, an amazing rainbow captain. It gives you a 2x orb boost, as well as a color affinity boost. So that's really good. And of course, Rayleigh along with it, also a very good unit to have. So any of those is great. There are a lot of great units to pull in this game. But these are the 5 I think you should be rerolling for. If you're rerolling for a new account on this next Suga Fest, definitely go for this. This is what I recommend going for. Alright guys, my name is Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you smack the like button down below, as well as the subscribe button down below, so we get lots of support in the channel, and of course, keep the channel growing. If you guys do want to get notifications on all my videos, make sure you hit the bell notification right next to it so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace.